It's 2 a.m. and I just typed all this out and I want it up ASAP, but I need to be quiet, so get ready for Sunburned Albino's first ASMR stream of consciousness. So how about that Game Grumps accusation? I don't want to get too deep into passing judgment on the actual specific case as we wait for more evidence and a response from them and things of that nature, but I do want to talk about the underlying themes and some of the topics for discussion surrounding it, which in light of every sexual misconduct allegation that gets made from a fan to a celebrity needs to be reiterated. To quickly explain what we have so far, somebody posted a second-hand accusation, aka they heard it from the person who's involved and supposedly posted about it with their permission in an anti-Game Grumps hate group subreddit, which first of all, I can't believe that even exists. What the hell do you people do with your time? You made a hate group about a YouTube channel? Are you 7 years old? But so they posted that one of the guys from Game Grumps, Dan Avedon, or however you pronounce that, I don't watch them because I hardly watch anybody, a 40-year-old famous YouTuber, groomed an underage girl, had sex with them, and then ghosted them. That sounds pretty bad, right? When you frame it in a purposely vague and detail-free way, which is of course how the story is predominantly being spread. But when you pepper in some good old-fashioned informational tidbits, it immediately becomes not that simple. We can dissect each part of it. Groomed an underage girl. In this case, that means a 17-year and 11-month-old fan DM'd him, and he was not sexual with her at all. I don't know how often they remained in contact, but he allegedly wished her a happy birthday when she turned 18, which is hilarious that there's an implied sinister undertone to that. Like, if someone I talked to ever had their 18th birthday, I'm just supposed to ignore it for fear of the optics. She'd message me like, hello, how come you haven't wished me a fucking happy birthday? And I'd be like, well, I don't want Twitter to think I'm a creep. And she'd be like, but this is a private text conversation. And I'd be like, well, in 4 years, you're going to leak screenshots of this on Twitter, so checkmate, bitch. And so she did. Groomed an underage girl also implies that as soon as she turned 18, they went at it. Nah, she was 22 when they allegedly hooked up. They had allegedly had sexual conversations before then, though who knows for how long, but they didn't seal the deal until 4 years after she turned 18. Who grooms someone till they're 22? Is that even grooming anymore? I met my wife when she was 16, and even though we're celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary, I like to think the grooming is still going strong. It's not confirmed that they were even in contact the whole time. I just imagine the guy being like, happy birthday, now that you're 18, let's have sex 4 years from now. Here's a good rule to live by. If details hurt your story, it's not a good story. If you need to obscure and omit things in order to get your point across, your point fucking sucks. From my point of view, there are plenty of things we don't know about what happened, and we never will know, even when it gets resolved, because people's accounts only recollect their own sides of what happened, and share things out of context, and forget plenty of pertinent information, so we've really never known the whole story of anything that's ever happened. So if there's anything I'm not mentioning, there either wasn't evidence of it or I just didn't see it. But I'm not here to vindicate anyone personally. I just want what we're working with out on the table so I can go on some relevant tangents later. Continuing with the dissection, he ghosted her. Let me tell you something about ghosting. As much as I do not like it when it happens to me, it does not qualify as a traumatic event. People are calling this chick a survivor. No joke. People on Twitter have the brains of cartoon characters. This girl is a survivor. She had sex with a famous celebrity and then he stopped talking to her. Can we get a moment of silence for our fallen hero in her time of great personal tragedy, that she may eventually find the strength to heal her wounds and mend her scars while we erect a bronze statue of her in the middle of Arlington National Cemetery? Please pray for her shattered soul, this poor woman who decided to be strong, take matters into her own hands, and get back at someone who ghosted her by attempting to ruin his career, as only the most noble and pure of heart among us would do. Screw this girl. The evidence we have is from a second-hand account of her own words, and it's nothing. There was no alleged rape, no alleged abuse. Like, wow, he wasn't even mean to you? He didn't degrade you or punish you if you ever weren't in the mood? If he did, it might have been something for you to mention. You know what's funny? The ghosting is the actual issue. People pretend it's not, but it is. It was the issue for the victim, because if it didn't happen, she wouldn't be mad. She didn't have a problem with being groomed. She didn't have a problem with the sexually explicit messages. She didn't have a problem with the sex. but he stopped talking to her, and that was unacceptable, and it retroactively changed everything about the last 4 years of her life, and all of a sudden now it wasn't okay. If he had just kept it up, or if he had let her down gently and explained that he didn't want to continue because he had other priorities, like perhaps his actual live-in girlfriend at the time, maybe she'd have understood and we wouldn't be here. But if other accusations are to be believed, we have a pattern of a guy having sex with or being sexual with fans and then ghosting them. I'm actually pretty willing to believe this part of things, that it's happened before, although it's still yet unconfirmed, but it's the fact that the most recent thing had to tack on grooming to try and sensationalize it. You've completely lost credibility with that nonsense. If it was just a tactic to gain some notoriety after these previous allegations basically went unnoticed, that makes sense to me, but even if the dude does have a pattern of hitting it and quitting it, that's really not grounds for getting canceled. If your only goal is to just let the public know and make him respond and then let viewers make up their own minds, then fine, power to you. I know I said screw you like a minute ago, but it really is dependent on what your actual intentions are, which we don't know because you didn't say and you're still anonymous, so screw you, and more power to you at the same time, in a Schrodinger's cat kind of way. People just throwing the word pedophile around in regard to the Game Grumps accusation, like damn, they straight up don't know what a pedophile is. I don't think they've ever seen one before. Every tweet that says pedophile, I just look at them like, oh, so you just didn't look at the story at all. That's cool. The man wasn't out here grooming 10-year-olds. Like, do you know what the age range for pedophiles is? It don't go up to 17 years and 11 months, I guarantee you that. I don't want to hear a single person pretend that a month makes any actual difference in whether something is morally acceptable or gross or iffy or whatever. It's a month. You can give or take a month and be the same person under normal circumstances. People's brains don't fully mature until they're 25, and that sure ain't the age of consent. I think reactions like this to stories like this just perpetuate a complete ignorance of real sex crimes. Imagine this girl who got hump and dumped standing next to a rape survivor like hashtag me too, man. Just nonsense. Like, this girl got used, plain and simple, allegedly. You sick of that word yet? And getting used sucks, but it's not a crime, and the victims are not owed any kind of social compensation. The effects of being used can be detrimental, but it's still your job to not go off the deep end in response to it. Some girls will be like, I got used once, and it made me never trust men ever again. Yes, men are definitely responsible for your completely irrational brain transformation. That's like getting bit by a dog and becoming scared of dogs. Everyone in the world will tell you there's tons of good dogs out there, and if you don't like dogs, people generally don't like you. They'll introduce you to their dog, like, hey, this dog has literally never bit anyone in its life, come pet it. And you're still like, I can't, I'm scared. Like, get over yourself. There's no personal growth to be achieved by staying hunched over in the corner. You can't stagnate and expect your life to get better. Take your own initiative and get back out there. 1 billion women on this planet have boyfriends and husbands. Try again, you'll be fine. So now that some of the info is on the table, we can talk about more broad strokes of the kind of stuff that goes on in these fan-celebrity dynamics. What Dan Avidan has done is pretty much in line with what you'd expect of any rock star or man-whore celebrity who has groupies, in which he leverages his fame and accomplishments to attract women who are attracted to those things, and then seduces them on easy mode before hanging them out to dry. To their credit, some girls are into that. They know the formula. They want the attention. They want to feel like they're part of this exclusive club. They want the story, and those kinds of interactions can give them what they want and leave both parties satisfied. The girl in question was definitely not into that, and lots of girls aren't. If we assume that any of the allegations are true, the one thing about this that I do think is really shitty is the notion that he will start talking to these girls and then give them empty promises about romance in a relationship, like saying he wanted those things and leading them on so that they would sleep with him, at which point he would metaphorically throw them in a dumpster. That sucks to do. You have millions of subscribers. You don't have to lie to get laid. There's probably a truckload of girls who, if you told them you just wanted something sexual, they'd be like, duh, me too. You're a check mark off my bucket list. What are we waiting for? And how do you do that multiple times? It can only be an accident once. More than once, it's like, alright, you get off on that aspect somehow, allegedly. This is all fun conjecture at this point. I'm exploring the what ifs of psychology behind allegations like these, which are still just allegations, as you know. I don't see how it's about conquest unless it's romantic conquest. Maybe the sex is hotter when the girl is legitimately in love with him, which, I mean, that's just true for everyone, definitively. But then why not keep going for a while with the same girl? It's like aspects of a romantic mixed with aspects of a douchebag. I've never seen that before. But yeah, the leading on of romance sucks. It's bad to do. I condemn it. As a YouTuber who has also found himself in some steamy fan interactions and would like to continue to under proper circumstances, I have a duty to call out the alleged bad behavior so as to purge the toxicity and prevent it from sullying our good name as public figures. It's like being a cop and seeing a bad cop. You take it extra personally because of the damage your reputation suffers by proxy. Hashtag not all YouTubers. Hashtag I won't lead you on romantically unless I'm actually serious about potential romance, because sometimes that happens organically and it's nice, but also there are times when I don't want it to become that, and I'll be sure to communicate it as the interaction progresses, or at least try my best. Certainly, we've all made some mistakes in these regards. There's really no handbook for how to flawlessly navigate these waters, but that doesn't mean the whole ocean is polluted. You'll see it however you want to, though. Again, with the cop analogy, some people will still just see the system as rotten and accuse even the good cops of upholding it, and you're free to think the whole practice is suspect, just as I'm free to defend it as consenting adults making their own choices, as long as that's what's actually happening. People speak of a power imbalance, but then what? Am I only allowed to date other YouTubers with 100k subs? I mean, I'd enjoy that, but it has yet to happen. I do have a power couple fantasy I'm looking to fulfill one day. I and most of us are not out here preying on young, dumb girls. It's really insulting to the ladies we do talk to just default to the idea of them being bimbos with no personal agency. I met a doctor on here. Well, she was in med school at the time, but she should be a doctor by now. Did I take advantage of the tiny brain and easily impressionable mind of a doctor? Naysayers are so patronizing to the people they claim to be sticking up for, and they don't even realize it. They infantilize them, while we treat them like we would if we met them on the street, except that they're already super familiar with our work. The conclusion, as always with stuff like this, is don't jump on the guilt train until everything's out there. I know I made mistakes with my episode on Pro Jared back when I had a different mindset about these public tribunals, and there are regrets to be had about that. So, for the last time, this video is not meant to objectively claim guilt or innocence, but merely explore what we've been given. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Sunburned Albino. Become a channel member to support me financially and gain access to my exclusive Discord. And I'll see you guys next time.